I'll call this meeting to order of the Apache Junction City Council. Sorry we're late. We had a long executive session. Invocation will be led by Councilmember Wilson and a pledge by Councilmember Dietz.
Heavenly Father, on this first day of April, we want to say thanks again for this wonderful weather. We are all enjoying the colorful flowers that you have shared with us and that touched our lives with your creation. We want to say also thank you for Rick Dietz, the strength returning to him and returning to our council. We're asking for your continued support and help both him and his wife, Deb, as they continue to improve their health situation. We again send our condolences to the Hartwell family with the passing of Darlene Hartwell. Continue to give them strength while they celebrate her life and lay her to rest this coming weekend. Again, David is one of our maintenance supervisor, and Darlene was one of our city employees in the finance department. Thanks again for this opportunity to serve our community. Please guide us and our staff as we make decisions that will help maintain this community a safe and secure place to live, raise our children, and enjoy. We also ask you to watch over our military members and their families wherever they are serving. Please guide them and keep them out of harm's way as they are protecting our freedoms. In the Lord's name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to have a motion on the consent agenda.
Your Honor.
Yes.
We need to do roll call first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Roll call, will you?
Mayor Inslago?
Here.
Vice Mayor Eck?
Here.
Councilmember Barker?
Here.
Councilmember Deeds?
Very pleased to be here.
Thank you. Councilmember Surtee?
Here.
Councilmember Severs?
Here.
Councilmember Wilson?
Here.
All members present. You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Now the consent.
Your Honor, I move that the consent agenda be accepted as presented, and that Barry M. McNaughton and Stephen J. Ventry be appointed as magistrates pro tem with terms to expire on September 30th, 2009, and that the appointment of Donna Mannert as finance director be ratified.
Second.
Moving second, roll call.
Councilmember Deeds?
Yes.
Councilmember Barker?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eck?
Yes.
Councilmember Severs?
Yes.
Councilmember Surtee?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Inslago?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Kathy, you have two proclamations to read.
Yes, Your Honor. The first one is for National Animal Control Appreciation Week, April 13th through 19th, 2008. Whereas the National Animal Control Association has designated the second week of April each year as Animal Control Appreciation Week. And whereas the various federal, state, and local government officials throughout the country take this time to recognize, thank, and commend all animal control officers for the dedicated service they provide to the citizens, various public safety, public service agencies, and departments throughout the country. And whereas the shocking and dramatic turn of events of one single day, September 11th, 2001, caught everyone by surprise and struck the very heart of our country. Excuse me. Actually, if I may, Your Honor, if I could have the bigger one to read.
Yes.
This print is a lot smaller than that.
Very small print.
Yes. I want to get it correct. Thank you. I will continue. Whereas the shocking and dramatic turn of events of one single day, September 11th, 2001, caught everyone by surprise and struck the very heart of our society with terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. The dedication, honor, and respect for those individuals serving on the front lines as firefighters, rescue personnel, personnel officers, police officers, and emergency animal control officers was never greater or more strikingly illustrated. And whereas the Mayor and City Council would like to express its sincere thanks and appreciation for the outstanding service the Apache Junction Animal Control Division provides on a daily basis to the citizens of the city and to the various public safety, public service agencies, and departments. And whereas the Mayor and City Council recognizes and commends the animal control officers for the many dedicated and long hours of service they perform in serving this community, and for fulfilling the Animal Control Division's commitment to providing the highest and most efficient level of customer service. And whereas the Mayor and Council wishes to commend each and every emergency animal control officer for their service, which is in keeping with this long and distinguished tradition of the animal control profession. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and City Council does hereby officially recognize the week of April 13th through 19th, 2008 as Animal Control Officers Week, and respectfully asks all citizens, public safety, health, and public service personnel alike to join in expressing their sincere thanks, gratitude, and appreciation for the many long hours of outstanding service and quality performance these outstanding individuals provide throughout the year to assure the safety and welfare of all. Okay, signed this 5th day of March 2008 by Mayor Insulaco.
Who's going to accept that? Someone here from Animal Control?
You're the man, Tom.
They're out dog napping.
On behalf of my Animal Control Division, they all thank you for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And the second?
The second one is for Fair Housing Month. This one's considerably shorter. Fair Housing Month, April 2008, whereas the National Fair Housing Law of 1986, as amended by the Fair Housing Amendments Act of 1988, prohibits discrimination in housing and declares it a national policy to provide within constitutional limits for fair housing in the United States. And whereas the principle of fair housing is not only national law and national policy, but a fundamental human concept and entitlement for all Americans. And whereas April has traditionally been designated as Fair Housing Month in the United States. Now, therefore, I, John S. Insulaco, Mayor of the City of Apache Junction, Arizona, do hereby proclaim April as Fair Housing Month in Apache Junction, and do hereby urge all citizens of this community to comply with the letter and spirit of the Fair Housing Law, signed and attested to this 10th day of March 2008, John S. Insulaco, Mayor.
Is Roger here? Roger.
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, thank you very much for passing this. Councilmember Dietz, it's wonderful to see you again.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Presentation of Certificates of Achievement Award to 23 graduates from the 10th Citizen Leader Institute.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. It is my distinct pleasure this evening to introduce many of the graduates of the 10th Citizen Leadership Institute in the city of Apache Junction. Before I make a few comments, I would like to reiterate a thank you to the mayor and council supporting this wonderful program as you have for the last 10 years. And I really, and I think all of our graduates and past graduates, several of you are sitting at the council, would echo that. So thank you. We do have now, with 23 graduates this year, a total of 200 individuals who graduated from the Citizen Leadership Institute over 10 years. That represents a pool of individuals who have received knowledge about the community and information from first-hand sources, city, county, fire district, and other staff. And it's a remarkable pool, I think, of individuals now who serve this community and will serve the community in the future. Roughly 66% of our board and commission members have graduated from the Citizen Leadership Institute. And looking out over our group of blue shirts, I don't know that I'd call it a sea of blue, but it's a big lake of blue, and those are our graduates this evening.
Call it a C.
A sea, okay. Vice Mayor said call out a sea, and I will. I also, in many meetings, and tonight as well, see folks who are graduates of prior years in the last 10 years. I see them, probably at least 11 or 12 of them here tonight, and that's wonderful. I think the process then we'll use for this evening, Mr. Mayor, will be similar to other years, in which, if you would be so kind as to come around here, I will give you their diplomas, certificates of achievement, and then I wish for them to come forward and shake the mayor's hand. I will give you your special attaché gift for graduating, and when you get your diploma, let's go out to the lobby and we'll shoot some group portraits and pictures, and I'll be out there shortly after the presentation. Mr. Mayor? I also wanted to say that two different things. Brian De Palma and Marie Benedetto are graduates. They started the Institute as fiancé, and they're not able to make it here tonight because they got married last weekend. And they're in Hawaii on their honeymoon. And I offered to help carry their bags and stuff, and they said, no, that's okay, pass on it. We also, it's really my pleasure to say that we have the youngest graduate of the Leadership Institute here, 12-year-old Colby.
I'm looking for him.
Colby Hegstead, yes. And he is here this evening, and that's wonderful too. Mr. Mayor.
Well, Colby's not here, so that's the first one. Oh, he's here. Oh, get up here. Oh, you couldn't find the name. Oh. This is the youth we like to have. Good.
So cool.
Linda Norris.
That's awesome.
Marie Benedetto. Oh, she's the one that's on, okay.
Yep.
Courtney Riddle. Stephen Arheim. Ariel Ower. Loretta Nielsen. Arlene Butters. Is that Ryan De Palma? Yes. Is that there on their honeymoon? Charles Button.
He's a very shy member of the
Yeah.
William Evans. Oh, Steve Etner, new pro tem judge. John Mahoney. Please excuse me, Teresa Chikowski. Hey, all right. E. Jean Post. Barbara Newland. Judy Borey. Tracy Majuowski. Am I anywhere close? Close, okay. No, but no cigars, thank you. Melody Mueller. Carl Nyberg. Guitar player extraordinaire. Phyllis Keeney. Ed Barker. Ed Barker's not here? Okay.
Nicole Connor.
Again, let me express my gratitude, Mr. Mayor and Council, for your great support of this program. And now, if each of our graduates will go out in the lobby, we'll shoot some group photographs, and I will take care of this. Thank you.
Congratulations.
This is the time set aside for each of our council meetings for the public to address the council. If you wish to speak, you may fill out a request form now, hand it to the city clerk. When called upon to speak, please come forward to the microphone podium, state your name, address for the record. If there is a group speaking on the same subject, please choose a spokesperson. The council welcomes all your comments and suggestions. Arizona open meeting law allows individuals to address the council on any issue within the jurisdiction of the council. Council may not answer your questions or discuss your comments at this time. However, at conclusion of the call of the public, council may do any of the following: respond to criticism made by an individual who addresses the council, ask staff to review the matter, ask staff to place the matter on a future agenda. Council shall not discuss or take legal action on matters raised and called to the public unless matters have been properly noticed for discussion and legal action. Due to the time restraints of the meeting, there is a 3-minute time limit per speaker. If you have any materials you wish to distribute to the mayor and council, please hand them to the city clerk. First one is Jimmy Edson.
Boy, first one on the spot tonight. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council member, staff. My name is Jimmy Edson. I reside at 1309 West 15th Avenue in the city of Apache Junction. I'm going to speak tonight for a moment on what I spoke about the last couple of council meetings about a young man standing with his nose broken and bad brain concussion and ribs cracked and a hernia that he was trying to get by without having to be repaired now. And the arresting officer didn't know he needed medical help. This officer this last week had a letter in the paper answering some of the things that had been said about him, bringing out points about the young man's juvenile record, which, as I understand, is absolutely against state law unless you got a court order of some kind. He shouldn't have did that. He should have just, whatever he wanted to say, said, but not bring out a juvenile's record for the public. You can't do that and get away with it. So what I'm going to suggest is that the legal minds working with the city get together with the chief and perhaps Mr. Hoffman and look at state law concerning this issue. And if it's determined that officer did violate state law, that he be removed immediately, put on inactive status of whatever you want to use, without pay. And if investigation shows that all this did happen, that he be removed completely from his position with the city of Apache Junction. We cannot have these things going on in the city. And I'm going to be standing here probably every night that you have a council meeting for about 3 minutes, calling it to your attention again. We have the blood-soaked clothes the young man was wearing that night. He didn't need medical help, though. Blood was all over the place and all over him, but he didn't need any medical help. Nobody told the officer he needed medical help, and you have about 5 witnesses that said they told him. So y'all can take it from here. Thank you.
Emery Caldell? Is it Caldell?
Caldell.
Thank you.
I have handouts here. And I'll hand you mine as soon as I'm done with this. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Emery Caudill. I reside at 39216 North Kelly Circle in Queen Creek. I've provided you each a lengthy document stating my stance and rights the Constitution affords me. I'll not conform to your 2-page requirement for my words to be considered in your upcoming work session regarding artists' rights, as I'm sure an attorney would not accept this restraint. I am pro per and expect the same legal treatment. When the last meeting concluded, Vice Mayor stated he spoke with a friend who is a large arts festival organizer. I expect that you look to the justices for civil rights answers, not organizers who may be vulnerable for litigation themselves. I believe arts organizers are partly responsible for the enslaving of self-expressive arts. I'm sure in the early civil rights days and that's figuratively speaking, of course, I'm sure in the early civil rights days when Constitution was changing the minds regarding slavery, one plantation owner might have called another for advice, and that was probably good enough for him until he was forced to change his thinking right along with his neighbors whose slaves just up and walked away at the court permission. Apache Junction has one big problem, and that is the same problem that all the other cities have in Arizona that don't have Option X, and that's that they treat artists differently than they treat nonprofit organizations. In Perry versus LAPD, it states, which is a very significant case in this civil rights discussion that we're having, I quote, "The defendant's argument implies that the plaintiff's expressive activities should be accorded less protection than they would if those same activities were conducted by nonprofit organizations. This type of speaker-based discrimination is unacceptable." And I can go on and on and on and on with the high court case laws. This isn't one rogue court. This is the Second Circuit. This is the Ninth Circuit. This is the Seventh Circuit. This is, do you get the idea? So what they're in Perry versus LAPD, which was a musician selling his own expressive music, which was purely protected, and then you had an artist, and then you had someone who was donating funds from selling coffee mugs and bumper stickers, which are normally not protected because they're utilitarian goods, but they were extended protection because of the Gadea ruling. That's Perry versus LAPD. The Venice Beach felt they could shut them down by saying only nonprofit organizations are the ones that are able to conduct any type of solicitations or anything on the boardwalk. Guess what? They were wrong. Thank you.
Thank you. Krista Rizzi?
Mr. Stern, could I get you to turn that on? I never remember. Krista Rizzi, 1755 South Sombrero Road in Apache Junction. Okay. Thanks. Mr. Mayor, council members, I'm here this evening to bring to your attention a project that I'll be working on through this summer. We're all aware of the tagging or graffiti that's been taking place in our community. With our school district budget override being voted down, there will be no summer school provided for children this year. This places more children out in the community for a longer period of time with few things available to keep them occupied. This program is it's going to be called Taggers, and it stands for Teen Artists Gaining Gratitude for Environmentally Responsible Spray Painting. Mouthful. This project is meant to target at-risk kids or any child having artistic abilities. I'll be offering 1¼ acres of my personal property for the use of teens wanting to take part in this program. There will be rules and guidelines for participants, along with implementing competitions and awards for future projects. My goal in starting this project is to put an end to destructive graffiti in our community and hopefully have our city adopt this project. This is not a new idea. It's been done in other cities with great success. It can be an awesome project to reunite teens, at-risk teens, with their community and help them respect and take pride in their town. It can teach teens that there's an appropriate way to express themselves artistically without harming their community. I spoke with several people in our community, including our Chief Tom Kelly, a juvenile court probation officer, fellow citizens and business owners, and AJ's chapter of the Guardian Angels. I've had nothing but positive feedback on this project, and I'm hoping to not only gain the support of our city leaders, but the community and also local artists who may be interested in participating. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Glenn Deserti.
My name is Glenda Surdy. I reside at 1425 South Coconino Drive, Apache Junction. And I've given you a copy of this letter that I'm about to read. On February the 17th, 2008, an incident involving Randy Eckerd of the AJPD occurred. On February 18th, a complaint was filed with the AJPD requesting that the person responsible for the assault on my son, Kyle, be investigated. On February the 24th, a complaint was filed with the PD regarding the actions of Randy Eckerd. March 4th, another complaint was filed with the PD regarding the conduct of Randy Eckerd. To date, I have no response to those complaints. The week of March 17th, 2008, a letter regarding this incident came out in the paper. A response from Randy Eckerd came out in the paper the following week. The response proving once again that the actions of this officer are unprofessional and lacking in truth as well as integrity. Arizona Revised Statutes Title 8, Section 349 protects the rights of minors and the information that would be available about incidents involving them. The information that was written to the paper was inaccurate, and once again, the opinion of the officer versus the documented facts. The U.S. Department of Justice Provision 18 U.S.C. Section 244, deprivation of rights under the color of the law, states that acts not only done by federal, state, or local officials within their lawful authority, but also acts done beyond the bounds of that official's lawful authority makes it a crime for a person acting under any color of the law to willfully deprive a person of a right or privilege protected by the Constitution or the laws of the United States. Randy Eckerd publicly denies any knowledge of complaints against him. Have they not been filed in the appropriate places? He questions the medical conditions and implies that they didn't happen. I can assure you that I'm well equipped to go to trial on these matters. Our family physician was the first one that I contacted once I had assessed the condition of my son's physical state. Call logs to the answering service of that doctor will verify that. I'm a certified patient care technician, and my assessment of the patient was relayed to our physician. After the symptoms persisted, it was decided that he be evaluated at the ER. Lack of insurance and money were the reasons for that delay. The council, the PD, the city manager, and the city attorney should all be aware that I am aware of the time limit that's imposed to file a notice of claim against the city. I'd like to go a different route, and I believe that the changes that need to take place can only benefit our community. It's time for the AJPD to be accountable for their actions and for the necessary provisions to be set in place so that these kind of situations are an occasional occurrence, not the everyday norm. If there's not a protocol set in place about the letter, then there needs to be, and that, I believe, is your job to do. Thank you.
Charles Button.
In council, and Mr. Hoffman. Last evening I reviewed the tapes from your work session last night, and at that time, the city manager brought up the idea of the 5-year assessment to the police department. And I have an opinion, which I want to express now, if you don't mind. I believe a third-party assessment of any government agency is an excellent proposal, as it provides through its report to the citizens assurances that the high level of performance by any group, section, or department within that agency is in fact performing at optimum performance. It will also provide the citizens further assurances that the city is providing the tools, equipment, and resources necessary to support and maintain the highest level and standards for those services and needs required by the citizens of our community. The only reason I can imagine anyone would ever object to an assessment of this type is that they have something to hide, possibly poor management, theft, cover-up, possibly crimes of greater magnitude against the city of our citizens. That's all on it. I thank Mr. Severs for sharing his salute with me. And he knows what that's about. Thank you.
Carrie Blazak.
Good evening, council members and the audience as well. My congratulations to the citizens who received the award.
Sir, can you
we
give your
need,
address, please?
Pardon me?
Could you
I'm
give your
sorry.
address?
Richard Carey, I go by my middle name, Blazek. I reside at 1566 South Sororo Drive here in Apache Junction. As a citizen here for 2 years, well, let me say what I wanted to say at the beginning. My congratulations to the recent Citizenship Award, EASE. We need more good citizens like them. I have 5 short things I'd like to say, get it off my chest, and hopefully I don't have to come back here. They're not really complaints. They're not really suggestions, so I'll quickly get to the point. Number 1, I belong to St. George's Catholic Church. Father Penty and myself and another individual, we do volunteer work for security in the parking lot and parking. A lot of people here don't abide by the rules set in that church as far as exiting and leaving, et cetera, et cetera. They're either confused, they don't want to cooperate, so I took it upon myself to direct traffic. Now, I'm not a policeman. I may not have authority. I really don't want to hear that you're not authorized to do it, Mr. Blazek. Mayor Insulato is a member of that parish, I believe, and he has nothing to do with what I'm going to bring up. Father Penty asked the city to extend a line for the benefit of people leaving the church and other people. I have a few things, I'll quickly get to the point, but Mayor Insulato has nothing to do with this. Number 2, I'm sick and tired of the degrading of the police department. They're either damned if they do or damned if they don't. And a recent thing in the Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport, I think that case is going to go to trial. The facts will speak for themselves. Number 3, Councilwoman Robin Barker, you have guts, Councilwoman, because when I was here recently, I heard the comments from the audience concerning your husband. Well, my wife and I, we disagree at home, but you don't bring politics. So I give you a lot of guts, and you know, it takes a lot to what you said. Number 4, the Public Works Department called me when I was here about a month ago. Boy, I'll tell you, I'm a second-class citizen.
Sir, your time is up.
And I like that, and I thank you very much. And I don't need to be here anymore, but Councilman Severs, I have nothing to do with it. If he pays taxes, let it go. You need more cooperation, Mayor, in this city, and I like this city. and I'm
Sorry.
tired of hearing everybody complain. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Chris Vasquez.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council, Mr. Hoffman. You're embarking on an opportunity to select your next police chief. It's an opportunity to bring in an individual and a leader to your police department that will unite your department, bring in cohesiveness, stability, and also an opportunity to bring in an individual into your community that will communicate with your citizens to resolve issues. I think of all the candidates that you may have, there's one I do believe that can bring such leadership to your police department. And it's a very good friend of mine that I've known since 1978. I have followed his police career very closely, and that's Gerald Monahan, my chief deputy. I really believe that he has the ability, he has a fire in his heart, he has a passion to come in and lead your police department and be not only a voice for the police department, but be a communicator to the citizens, to unite the police department and your citizens, bringing them together, not at odds, but working together to resolve issues. But no matter who you select, it's important to take the past and leave the past where it is, no matter what side of the past that you stand. Because Apache Junction is a very good police department. It is a good police department, and the community is a very good community that is progressive. And you deserve the best. You deserve a leader, no matter who it is, that has that fire and that passion to unite your department and your community together. And in laying the past and leaving it in the past, I guess I ask this community and I ask the police department that no matter who you choose, receive them and give them the opportunity to lead. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, any comments?
Yeah, I do. If somebody else wants to go, I have several.
Okay, Robin?
Hi. Excuse me. First of all, thank all of you for coming, taking your time out on this April Fool's Day to be with us. Don't know what that says. I would like somebody to get with Mr. Edson and Ms. Surdy and make sure that they have the information that is available to them. Because I got the impression from what they were talking, the way that they were speaking, that they didn't feel that they had received the communication they needed to receive. So if somebody could do that, please. And thank you, Krista, for bringing that to our attention. That sounds like fun. I'd like to know more about that. And congratulations to all the graduates, including my husband who's sick, and I'm sorry.
Joel, do you have a copy of this letter from Jim Edson and Glenn Surdy?
No, I do not.
Let me get this to you, please, so you have it. And if you could, search those items down. And like Mrs. Barker said, if you could let them, if we could apprise them of anything that we can, of what's currently going on. I don't know where personnel rights stand and what information goes to the public, but it's my understanding that there's more going on than that they seem as aware of. So if you could check that document for the legalities on it also, appreciate it. Mr. Cogdell, the artist issue is coming up for our discussion. However, I do notice you're from Queen Creek. I don't know what the concern is about Apache Junction being from Queen Creek. I would think you'd be at Queen Creek Council rather than Apache Junction Councils. Option X is used in about 7 towns and cities out of approximately 80 in the entire state, which I just read an article the other day of jewelers upset at one of the communities that has option X because they feel that jewelry is an art and they shouldn't be taxed and they're paying an overhead. So we're putting that on a work discussion to try to bring some type of solution but I do not know that it's going to be what all the artists hope it will be. George, can we put graffiti issue on an agenda item so we know where we stand? I know it's Ironwood Road is real bad. What Christie's talking about is the taggers and trying to get those kids into something positive, which is a great idea. But when I see East Side Mesa all over Ironwood, it's on the north side now. It's on a beautiful white fence just north of Superstition on Ironwood. It's on the south side, and there's a lot of four-letter words, and it looks horrible. It really does bring our community down. It looks bad. The graffiti is probably at one of its worst. And I know we talked about getting a unit, trying to match paint and do it on the spot, but let's see if we can do that, or if not, we can buy a maybe cheaper unit and do an earth tone color and get the okay to get some of this. The sooner you get it spray painted, the sooner you control it. And then if we could, for Mr. Kerry Blazak? Yes. If you could contact him about the traffic at the Catholic Church, because years ago, we used to have officers direct traffic out of the Catholic Church. It was so severe. Before the light at Idaho, I can remember staff directing traffic on Sunday mornings at Idaho and 16th. So I don't know what their exit plan is, but if we could help try to bring some solution there, appreciate that. And I would like to thank Chris Vasquez, our Pinal County Sheriff, for coming and showing his concerns for our community up from Casa Grande tonight. So thank you very much.
Anything else?
I just want to say we're discussing putting the four-way stop.
Yes, at 16th and Winchester. But I don't know their exit strategy. I don't know if it's out east. That's the way it used to be.
Right turns only go in from 16th and then come out on Winchester.
Yeah. I see them going east on Idaho out, or east on 16th out.
An item that's been on the agenda, rather than talk about it here.
Okay.
To council members.
Is there anything else? If not, any announcements of current events or anything?
Yeah, I'd like to state this last Thursday I went to GPEC board meetings. It's just an awesome deal that we're a part of this organization now, and especially with the things that are going to be happening in the future with the industrial and commercial land that's going to be opening up. Just a little info, GPEC assisted locates. Through February, GPEC, which is Greater Phoenix Economic Council, has assisted 10 companies in their expansion or relocation to the Greater Phoenix area. These locates will create 2,163 jobs, add $88.3 million in payroll, absorb 772,000 square feet, and deliver an average salary of $40,800 a year. In March, they brought in another company, CDW, which is a leading provider of technology solutions for business, government, and education. And they located in the Chandler area, 450 jobs and 10 million in capital investments. And the other one is Local Life USA. It's a UK-based company, and it's the largest provider of information for search engines such as Google and Yahoo. They located in Scottsdale and are providing 1,000 jobs, 5.5 million in capital investments, and it's their United States headquarters. And these are just being a part of this council is just going to benefit us tremendously, because they showcase everyone that's in the council when they go out looking for these companies. And they have generated 115 qualified prospects since July. And it's more than 16,700 jobs and over $4.7 billion in capital investment. And 51% of these prospects are high-wage industries with an average of $41,446 a year. So I think that's something that's pretty cool, and I'm just really glad that we're a part of this organization.
Chip?
Yes. This past Thursday, we did the second touch at the rodeo grounds, and I again want to appreciate the Parks and Rec Department for their assistance. They not only set up the sites for us prior to, but they came out to make sure everything was running smoothly, and everything did run smoothly. And I know I had the privilege of entertaining some of you out there as well, and thank you all for coming. And the teachers from the 4 different schools that were out there expressed their thanks for putting it on, and they enjoyed it, and the kids loved it. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor, I'd like to say that I went to our local LPGA golf tournament one day this last weekend. What a beautiful location. It was a great event. My golfer won it with a record score of 22 under, Mr. Choa, U of A graduate. It was awesome. I was just very disappointed in the tickets I had, the parking pass I had, all the literature I had. There was not one name of Apache Junction on anything. They would not acknowledge us, even though I don't think we should allow them to park in our parking lot anymore if they won't put our name on the parking pass.
Agreed.
Because the parking pass is like $7 for the whole event, and on the back it shows all the way from I-10, Tempe, Chandler, Gilbert, Mesa, and then from Power Road it says 13 miles east to Superstition Mountain. It doesn't say Gold Canyon, and it doesn't say Apache Junction, and they're parking on Apache Junction property, and they just won't acknowledge us every year. They didn't acknowledge, on the 3 days I watched on TV, they didn't acknowledge Gold Canyon or Apache Junction. So I find that very disappointing. This might be their last year there. But
I understand that they did put an Apache Junction sign in the parking lot somewhere.
we might have put a sign, yeah. We put a sign that you're in Apache Junction.
We did.
But they will not acknowledge it, and they're parking on our property. No. It was an event.
What a shame.
Anybody else? Yes, Jeff.
If you guys remember the Focal Point Centennial Park project, the first phase has been done. The next phase has been scheduled to start, but the committee's pretty much decided that with the little bit of budget crisis we're having, even though we're not spending city money, we would be spending any money we would be spending would be TIF money. We've decided to postpone it. Remember, there is no time limit on it. Just work on it when we get the money until we get cement donated, cement being the next biggest cost of the next phase.
We can call China.
Yeah, we've got the stone donated and the conduit, and we're working on cement, which would save pretty much all of it. And at Main Street, Chamber of Commerce, we now have these donation forms, which we're ready to start taking donations. And once we get the cement, we're going to start on the next phase, which is really going to be impressive. So,
thank you. One quick note. Councilmember Barker and myself, with a whole bunch of staff and board members of Planning and Zoning, George Hoffman, a city attorney, we all took a tour of some of the subdivisions in Scottsdale. We went along with the people from Rhodes Homes just to get an idea of how to plan a community. And it was, a lot of us went last year, and I feel this trip we made this year was a lot more informative. We're not getting any Scottsdale ideas or anything like that. It's just how to use the open space and how to preserve the natural desert we live in. And we saw some nice communities, so hopefully that'll help. Derek, you were there. Okay. City Manager's report.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Council, for the ratification of Donna Meinertz as Finance Director. She comes to us from the City of Payson, comparably sized budget. We'll be starting, I believe, the first week in May. And I'd also like to publicly thank Keith Lewis. Keith pushed back a retirement to keep us afloat with Finance Director. Keith will be staying on as a part-time employee to work with us on budget. And I think many of you have been in organizations when people get to the point where they can retire and they are out the door and they never look back. Keith, like Doug Dobson, has stayed with this organization, helped us transition leadership. I am humbled by their commitment to you and to the organization, to the community, and wanted to publicly express my thanks to the both of them. Several weeks ago, Chamber of Commerce President Tony Vihan encouraged City Council participation in the National Day of the Cowboy event to be held on June 26th of this year. Last year's event was hosted at Goldfield Ghost Town, and I'm advised that Rangers estimated a crowd of 3,000 to 3,500 in attendance. The event is scheduled for the same location this year. This year's event has grown and is now a Northeastern Pinal County Economic Partnership, NEPEP, sponsored event with an array of activities expanding to Florence, Superior, and Gold Canyon, in addition to its Goldfield Ghost Town location. Our state's tourism office has already embraced the event and is marketing it on a number of European tourist-oriented websites. I am told that already a group of a dozen cowboy enthusiasts from England are booking rooms in Apache Junction.
Cool.
The city is a member of NEPEP. Your Economic Development Strategic Plan identifies a strong economic development and tourism component. The Chamber of Commerce is asking for the following assistance. Assistance from our PIO with press releases and general promotion, proclamation from the mayor, Mayor, Council, and staff participation at the event, supply and display banners on the Apache Trail, and the supply setup of chairs, tables, and tents. If Council views this event as participating in regional economic development, then I would suggest that help from our PIO, a proclamation, and city participation are achievable. For about $1,500, staff can assist with the delivery, setup, and takedown for the chairs, tables, and tents. We could make this work within the operating budget. If you declare this to be a community event, you would waive the normal equipment rental fees, valued, we estimated, about $750. While we could put up and take down the display banners, given our budget context, I'd encourage that if you agree to help, the city not write a check for the cost of making the banners. My objective in bringing this up tonight is to have you begin thinking if you'd like to have this be a city-sponsored event as designated by you, the City Council. Just as a reminder, that currently the Council has designated the following as city-sponsored events: Lost Dutchman Marathon, Lost Dutchman Days, Trail of Flags, Ben Jonson Days, Veterans Parade, Holiday Light Parade, Antique Tractor Show, and Festival on Phelps. New events are typically considered within the budgetary process. Their request came in after the deadline, but I'm seeking to provide an answer to the Chamber of Commerce, one way or the other, so they can proceed with their event planning. So please think about it and let me know if you'd like this scheduled for further council consideration. Library staff notes that additional progress on the library remodel project is being made. The new family restroom has been opened for use. The staff lounge is already in use, and the new small conference room will be ready for the library's board April 10th meeting. Extensive remodel work continues on the children's services area, the quiet reading room, and on the Idaho entry, where screening materials for the patio are being installed. The construction of the family courtyard is well underway. Core construction is still confident of meeting or beating its end of June completion target date.
Oh, good deal.
Some of you are aware of the Valley Forward Making the Grade, Valley's 2008 environmental report card, Essentially, this looks at the issues of growth and how municipalities are dealing with the issues of livability and sustainability. And I wanted to walk you through the 3 Bs and 1 B+ that Apache Junction received. Under air quality, Apache Junction received a B, and I'm just going to read the quick notation here. Apache Junction is the only city in the valley that purchases renewable energy. 28% of the electricity for City Hall comes from SRP's renewable energy sources. A further commitment to improving air quality through energy conservation efforts is demonstrated by several recently completed energy conservation improvement projects. These included a conversion of all municipal building T12 lighting to the more efficient T8 lamps, and electrical ballasts, and a retrofit of all traffic signals in the city to LED lamp technology, replacing the less efficient incandescent lamps. Solar-powered radar display speed sign and amber lighting has been installed at all the city's school zones. Apache Junction has implemented green housekeeping measures for all municipal building operations, which include policies for energy conservation practices. Under land use, we received a B+. Reads, Apache Junction has a solid economic development department for its size with a good use of redevelopment incentive districts. It is working toward infill strategies as in the city center zoning district. The community is emerging as a leader for green sustainability building design with public buildings like its City Hall. The completion of the first all-solar Habitat for Humanity subdivision in Arizona demonstrates that this community is on the right path. The city is also has a commitment to participate with other jurisdictions and agencies as in the master planning and regional visioning process for development of state trust land. The municipality is in the top tier of valley communities and exceeds national averages on parks and dedicated open space per capita. On transportation, we received the highest grade given in this category for communities our size. We received a B, and real quickly, in part it says, Apache Junction has increased efforts to improve its transportation program since Valley Forward's 2004 report card. Although transit options are still limited, the city's transportation and land use planning processes are now well coordinated, and some staff support and funding are assigned to transportation efforts. And lastly, on water, we tied for the top score in our category. Apache Junction has a commitment to long-range planning with consideration of other water providers. Generally, low overall per capita water use is declining over time. The city has efficient utilization of renewable supplies to minimize groundwater overdraft. I didn't read all of each section, but, and I won't publicly say what our previous scores were, but these are substantially better. Personally, I'm not satisfied with them yet, but this community and this organization have made tremendous strides, and I think that the attention that this council and staff are giving to issues of proper land use planning, of learning from other communities about growth, and thinking about how we can be sustainable over the long run are clearly getting some external and positive attention, and I wanted to bring that to your attention. Lastly, I wanted to share with you the spring 2008 edition of the Arizona Parks and Recreation magazine. Again, one of our own is an author of an article, Jamie Sullivan, facility manager for the Multi-Gen Center, authored an article entitled Heal Yourself, Heal Your World Wellness Expo, a special event for the community organized by the community. And I'll just read her intro paragraph. Introducing a new event, concept, or program is not always easy. As professionals, we like to think we know the needs of our communities. But do we? How often are we challenged to go outside our comfort zone to try something new? Often we feel overworked and under-budgeted, so we shy away from trying something different. She goes on to talk about how an area citizen, Deborah Smith, came to her with the idea for a community wellness event. and how they made that event happen. I didn't go to the first year. I did go to this last year. It was a wonderful event. It was very well attended. And frankly, I'm proud of Deborah Smith, and I'm proud of Jamie Sullivan, and I'm proud of our Parks and Rec for getting statewide attention on programs that we're doing in our operation. Your Honor, I know that went a little long. I would point out that sometimes I don't give any report, so my average report time is still fairly short.
Well, George, I really feel you need a break after that. We'll be content with a take a break. We do have a quorum, so if
You know it. Can you get my sliding parts?
for case P&Z 1-08, an appeal of the landscaping and screening requirements for the undergrounding of utilities for the parcel located at the northwest corner of Broadway and Tomahawk.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. I just would like to make this, I put appeal 2, and it's appeal of, so I apologize for that. It's an appeal of the landscaping and screening requirements to underground utilities for case PZ 108. The site is zoned CB1, and it's located at the northwest corner of Tomahawk Road and Broadway Avenue. This is the site parcel. It's 3 combined parcels, the lower section. The applicant is requesting not to underground utilities on the site. The green dots represent the power poles in question from Broadway Avenue looking west. And this is on Broadway Avenue looking east of the site, and on Tomahawk Road looking southwest. With this in mind, the next slide shows what SRP provided for the applicant. The green dots once again represent the power poles that are required to be undergrounded, 3 which are within the property site, and 3 which are not, which are in the right-of-way on the other sides. This is the aerial of the site. I wanted to provide you with, just to show you where exactly the poles are located on an aerial. And the stars represent the power poles. As you can see, there's 3 on the site. The blue represents 34 foot of pavement from center line that is going to be paved. The orange represents 50 foot total of right-of-way from the center line. So from there all the way to there is 50 feet. And that's just to show you that 2 of those power poles will be in the section where it's going to be paved, so they will have to relocate them. Okay? And if you have any questions or comments, the applicant is also here tonight.
Who is they are going to have to remove?
Who is they? You said they are going to have
The
to
applicant will have to remove them. They're going to have to relocate them. I'm not sure if they're probably going to have to get SRP.
Yeah. Could you repeat that? You say regardless of undergrounding or not, there's 3 poles that have to be relocated?
2.
2?
Who's repaving the road?
The applicant has to pave the road. That's street improvements. That's an engineer thing.
Sorry. Back to my question. The 2 have to be relocated because they're in the right of way?
They're within where the pavement's supposed to be.
Oh, I
That's
see.
street
So they're going to
improvements.
move them back?
Correct. They can be in the right of way,
All right.
which is the orange.
There's a little orange thing
Yeah.
I didn't see, but so they got to go back behind it. Okay.
Yes.
The applicant here?
Yes, the applicant is here, and I'm sure he would like to speak.
Would the applicant like to speak?
It's James Dunson, by the way.
In unison, please.
Council members, Mayor, thank you. I'd like to, the northwest corner, the northeast corner has a very finished look to it. It's got curb and gutter, a sidewalk. I would like to present to where I can put that in versus just doing a rural look. Since the northwest corner, you can see it right there, how it's all finished. The power poles that are sitting right there are approximately 29 feet from the center of Broadway. And what the Apache Junction is asking us to do is to move the power poles. But if we can match what the northwest corner is with a nice finished look, the power poles would stay, and we can give that entire corner a very nice look, a very appealing look, a very finished look. And that's pretty much what I'm the contractor. Benjamin Sherrill is the landowner, and the cost of it is quite extensive to put that underground. But that's all I have to say.
Sir, regardless though of whether they're overhead or underground, we're still gonna have a finished look on the corner. There's still gonna be sidewalk, curb and gutter, correct?
No, the Apache Junction City wants a very rural look. And so it would go from asphalt just to the landscaping, rocks and stuff like that. There is no curb and gutter.
Oh.
I'm proposing that we put in curb and gutter and leave the power poles where they're at and give it a very nice finished look.
Your Honor.
George?
I don't know the details of staff's work on this project. I think the item agendized is an appeal of undergrounding the lines.
Mhm. Right.
And if the contractor would like to have some dialogue with staff about the level of development of infrastructure on the site, would be happy to engage in that discussion. I don't think that's on the agenda.
Well,
Correct,
it
correct.
becomes part of the agenda if we're negotiating though.
I think you're considering only the appeal of the undergrounding requirement.
Okay, every other one we've done, we've negotiated something. We negotiated a clubhouse on one to not lower power lines, and the whole discussion was about building a clubhouse.
Mr. Mayor?
Kind of hand in hand.
Member of City Council, Mr. Eck, this is an appeal, that is correct, the city manager is correct. You can, as a recommendation, condition your approval or denial of the appeal, and that may include some things. However, I'm not sure if this is the first time staff has heard of this proposal. I don't know, you can ask staff, I don't know if Mr. Baker knows or Ms. Ochoa knows, but this is the first I've heard of it.
We did speak to the applicant regarding this. He has to speak to the city engineer, and I've mentioned that to him. But he wanted to propose it as well to the city council.
Well, this is going to come back to us later on. It can be discussed then. Right
Well-
now, we just want to get the...
Well, actually,
We have a negotiating tool here that we're not.
there is a negotiating tool, however, if a proposal comes forward, I think the city engineer and the public works director should also be involved. And I would recommend that you continue this matter so that staff can talk to the applicant and then bring it back. And then the appeal could include a condition, depending on what was talked about with staff.
Okay.
Can I clarify something, Your Honor?
Yes.
Can we go back to that last picture that was just there of the northwest corner,
Northeast.
northeast corner? So what you are proposing is to make your corner look just like this one?
Correct.
And that would not include moving the poles?
That would not include moving the poles.
If we require that he does move the poles, will he be required to move them or underground them?
Councilmember Severs, that's county. That's not within the city. That whole section is county. It's a multi-family.
That's a county island?
Which
Yeah.
section?
This
I
section.
thought that was a DES building.
that's
They were in
county.
city.
So his section is in city?
Yes.
And this one that we're looking at right here is county?
Right, and then Rudy had mentioned that it was county.
It's a county facility, yeah, it's in the city limits.
Okay. But what he's requesting is that his side look just like the other side.
Right.
Okay, so my original question would be, we're requiring that he move the poles. Are we requiring that he move the poles or that he underground where those poles would be?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Severs, the code requires them to underground
Right.
the utility lines 12 kV. He is appealing that decision. If he wins the appeal, then the poles where they're currently located would be too close to the edge of pavement for safety reasons. We require the 50-foot right-of-way. We'd have to move the poles 9 foot back, at least 3 of them, for safety reasons. His proposal is to do curb and gutter, which is not the rural standard that the city has adopted for this area.
But like the other side.
The curb and gutter does provide a safety factor that would have to be looked at if that would be adequate, both to allow a change in standard, and is it wherever these poles line up with the proposed curb and gutter, we would want our Public Works Department to take a look at.
Okay, so if we approve the appeal
and he does not have to underground them. As of right now, he would still have to move them.
That's correct.
Which I'm assuming is considerably cheaper than undergrounding.
We have not looked into the cost. The applicant may have.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Thank you.
Do you need to speak at the microphone?
Sorry. Yes, substantially cheaper.
Okay.
Councilman Barker?
I would propose that we do continue this for a couple of
Absolutely.
weeks and let
This new proposal.
this new proposal be heard and fleshed out and the options be given. Because at this point, we're kind of in the dark. And if we just make a decision pertaining to the undergrounding, as you've said, Councilmember Eck, it might take a tool away. So, for everybody's sake.
We'll work with staff, bring it back
Work
in
with staff.
hopefully 2 weeks, so we don't hold you up, but
Thank you.
2 weeks, you say?
yeah,
Is that what it's-
I believe we could bring it back in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 weeks is probably not enough time.
You sure?
Well, it depends on what he's proposing. I don't know if Public Works would have the ability to spend staff resources on it in the next week, basically, because it has to go on the agenda.
Thursday would be the deadline, 2 days from
Well,
now.
So it would have to be a month.
Wow.
Yeah, have to be 30 days.
Your Honor,
Yes.
it appears to me like he's asking for this, so it's not going to take a lot of investigation. I mean, 2 weeks to 30 days is a big holdup for a project. You know, if we can, staff can present that he wants it to look like this, not like what we're doing,
But-
and they can do that in 2 weeks.
But the thing is, it has to be done by Thursday.
The deadline is Thursday.
The deadline's Thursday for 2 weeks.
So they have tomorrow and half a day Thursday.
And that's not enough time to do the process right.
Well, and part of the question is council set forth a development standard for the area and the why. And so the staff application is, did council want that standard applied when they set forth that standard? Or did they not want it, do you want it applied except when the contractor doesn't want to do it because he wants to do what's across the street? So we need to sort through those issues.
Absolutely.
Also, Mr. Mayor, there may be other options that the applicant is willing to do. He seems pretty flexible, and I think those options should be brought and talked to with Mr. Fern and Mr. Pham.
Well,
We'll say
they
we'll bring
need
this
more
back
than
as
2
soon
days
as
to do that.
possible.
Well, 2 days to get it on the agenda, that's the problem. There's, with the electronic system that we have, that is the deadline that the city manager's office has, basically causes staff to follow. And it does take a while to assemble everything, and it's a good rule to follow.
When did the applicant want to break ground? When would you hope to break ground?
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's taking a while.
Yesterday.
With what you've just heard and knowing that this is going to be another 30-day delay, do you want us to take that delay, or would you want to just go back to the original plan here?
Can I pull up the owner, Benjamin Searle? I think I might have said too much.
Good evening. I'm Ben Searle, one of the partners of the two partners in the venture, but time is definitely of the essence. So as far as I'm concerned, you know, we've been caught up for a long time, tied up in the planning and zoning. So really, from my perspective, if we could get the costs associated with grounding versus moving back or doing the curb and gutter are very different. And the grounding is what really is hinging whether this project will move forward or not. So I would request that we resolve that tonight so we don't have to worry about that. The curbing and gutter and so on, you know, if that's possible to do in 2 days, I would hope that it would do so. We've been extremely held up in the planning and zoning, and to a point where it's, you know, a real big hindrance. And so that would be my request. Definitely tonight, we need to know whether or not we'd have to ground it and be breaking ground here pretty soon, within, 2 weeks, 30 days. It's pretty extensive, so.
Joel?
Mr. Mayor, if I could just add, your option is to vote on this as you have the information now, and if you vote no, then they will have to underground, and I want the applicant to realize that that could happen. Otherwise, you wait 30 days, and perhaps there's other options, but you have to weigh the monetary issue. And I know to underground that is going to be very, very expensive. So is that worth it, to wait 30 days, and maybe you'll get a positive response from the council? Or if the council, based on what they hear tonight, if they vote no on it, then this thing's done. You cannot appeal that decision. So I just wanted you to be aware of, if you're trying to set a timeline you want to know about tonight, well, it may not be so favorable. That's all I'm saying.
I don't. Kind of your decision, sir.
You
never.
Well, like I said, it's not just this 30 days. It's been a year of 30 more days, and so. Can I talk to my contractor?
Sure.
You're on.
Sorry.
Yes. Councilman Sturdy had something to say.
I don't know if we can discuss this like a work session, but just in my opinion, from what I've seen of this council, we've not ever voted to underground because of we want to be pro.
Quick Trip.
But there was
some
assistance there. So we want projects to happen, especially since the economy's in a downturn. We don't want to be losing and turning away projects.
No, but we certainly don't want to lose negotiating powers either.
We definitely want to keep the corner looking very nice because of the project, the amount of elderly that are needing this type of service.
You need to come closer to the microphone.
It's got to be on tape.
Yeah, definitely the project has taken quite a while, and if it pleases the council, if we just move the power poles, keep them above ground to keep the project going quicker, then I'd probably say go that direction, because we would like to get it going as quickly as possible. Just kind of nixing what I had said about that northeast corner. I might have spoken out of turn with the owner here, but so I guess we'll leave it back in your hands. If we can keep it above ground, moving the power poles 9 feet over, we'd be happy with that as well.
I'm confused. Brian, you said something about our open space on the Y.
I just wanted to reiterate what George was talking about, which is this is the first project in the Y, which is the rural standard, which is an effort on the mayor and council to, in the area in the northeast part of the city, to have a rural standard, which is no sidewalk, no street light, and a ribbon curb, as I understand it, in this area. So this is the first one you've seen this way, and so staff is just applying that here, and he has a situation where just across the street it's the more urban standard. So that's one I would encourage, maybe even a comment from the city engineer on his thoughts on how long it would take to kind of review the standard.
Brian,
come up, y'all.
Are you actually saying that we don't want sidewalks here?
I'm not saying that. That's what the code is.
That was a decision of the city council. Absolutely.
On corners?
I am shocked. I never thought that anybody would.
In the Y.
In the Y area. Sidewalks.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Several years ago, when we passed last year, we passed the design standards. What we did was we broke it into geographic areas. Certain areas of the city would require urbanized type of improvements. Certain areas would be rural, where we would keep the sidewalk, curb, and gutter-wise. We would address the drainage needs, and it would keep some of the areas into a more rural area.
So what would this look like under our?
If this was in the Y section, it would be a rural environment where we're trying to.
What will that corner look like? I'm curious.
I'm not sure. I didn't take a look at this particular site, but this is something that I would talk to development staff to see what the negotiation process was and what the site plans would look like, and then make a comment on that.
This just happens to be a site that's classically closer to.
That's correct.
It's not further out where.
Right.
So it's.
And what
this is more within the city.
Even under our rural guidelines, I thought we still wanted sidewalk, curb, and gutters at intersections. But
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, let me clarify the picture you're looking at here. That was built under county standards, county facility under county standards. It's in the city, but it was built under a different standard, and the city, as Gow did explain, adopted a
What is
different
our
standard.
standard, what would that corner look like under our urban standard?
Is it what we're looking here at the bottom of the picture?
No.
It's just going to be landscape. There's
So-
going to be no curb, no gutter, and that's,
A ribbon curb though, right?
right.
Okay, explain what that is, because that's what I think I'm seeing at Beeman's Drilling, the rural standard we're seeing at the Beeman's Drilling, the next one, and the Dollar Storage. It's the normal width of a section line road with a ribbon curb that helps the drainage, and then landscape, and no streetlights, and no sidewalk.
What about
That was the
pedestrians,
standard
though?
that was given to us. What's that?
Is it pedestrian friendly? I mean, this is a pedestrian road going up.
Well, this is the whole rural lifestyle is you would have landscape buffers instead of sidewalks and everything so that they could create pathways or whatever it is. So when the ribbon curbing wise, it's not your typical street curbing where it's 4 inch, 6 inches, that type of thing. It's more of a flat curb. It's wider. It promotes drainage without obstructing any kind of pedestrian access or anything like that.
Well, I'm going to put my 2 cents in. I think we ought to bring this back. Instead of trying to discuss it here and just keep talking, I think this needs to go to staff and engineering. So that's my view.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Would we be able to vote on not undergrounding and then the portion of him moving or not moving would be what comes back?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Severs, I think you can you can put certain conditions on an approval or a denial of their request. So if there are reasonable conditions, yes, you can.
So they could get started on part of their project, then they could
Well-
work this out, correct?
Well, is that?
Jeff? Yes.
So they could start the project that's not up against the street, then we would be able to work the details out, knowing they're not going to be undergrounded, but whether or not to move them back or have a sidewalk.
No, I think you should work the details out before you make any motion, because if you don't, things are going to come up later that you're going to be surprised.
You're gonna be sorry for.
It always happens.
It does.
Council members?
You know,
Go ahead.
As it sits right now, we have a building permit right now to start. Yeah, this was just something we'd like to get resolved before we started.
Sure.
We can definitely continue with the inner workings of the project, because that's, we have 50 feet to work with, and don't really, it won't hold us up. It'd be nice just to get it out from underneath our.
Well, you need to know if you need to spend $300,000 or not.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, that's our main hope, the curbing or the ribbing, I guess, is that how it's termed? That's not as important. This project is, it's going to be a beautiful assisted living home with great desertscaping, kind of Santa Fe. And of course, from a business perspective, it's in our best interest to really make an aesthetically pleasing home, which we are going to do. Assuming that the power lines, that really hinges on whether this business can be viable or not. And so that we need to resolve tonight from a business coming in. And really, I'm one of 2 partners where I'll be moving and living in the community and so on. And so, like I said, we've been working on this for over a year and a half. And so, but this would be the deal maker or not on undergrounding. But if we could resolve the curbing or what type, that's not so important at this moment. If we can move forward or vote on the undergrounding, and then if that's,
Well, the way the city attorney basically said, if you want to take a chance, that's your prerogative.
Yannette, can you come back up to the podium, please? Can you flip this back a couple to where you've got the green and the gold bands in there where the poles are? Yeah. Now, what is The blue is 34 feet of pavement. Is that to widen the road and for
Correct.
making,
That's what's required.
okay. So those would have to be moved regardless,
Yes.
those 2 poles, right?
And like Fred just stated, there is a 9-foot that they have to be even further back,
The goal.
right, for safety purposes.
But those poles, those 2 poles are going to have to be moved,
Correct.
okay, regardless.
Yes.
Of they go curb or not.
Correct.
Okay. So what we're looking for is to either give you a waiver to underground or not, but you're still going to have to move the poles, right?
If we decide not to underground, that's got to move the poles.
So because
Well,
he has to expand the road, it's not gonna look like the other side anyways. Is that correct?
I think we have 2 things going on here at once. My proposal was to make it look like the northwest corner, I'm sorry, the northeast corner, and then versus just undergrounding it. So I guess at this point, let's just go forward with just the underground, forget the northeast corner, just to simplify
Right,
it.
because of your additional traffic and stuff, they're gonna require you to expand the road. So regardless how you do it, those
Regardless,
2
those
have gotta
poles
go.
have got to,
Correct.
even if we approve the undergrounding, the poles have to be moved.
Correct.
If you run the
Those
road,
2, yeah.
obviously.
So
That's the others.
Okay.
let's just nix what I said earlier, I guess. Yeah, I probably spoke out of turn because it has not gone to the planning and zoning for that. And then we'll just stick with going with the underground. We'd like to keep it above ground, we'll move the poles.
There you go.
Yeah.
Choice.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Is anybody in the public like to speak on this? Mr. Butler?
I'm sorry, but I'm terribly confused.
Not hard to do.
Don't be sorry.
Okay. You've already set standards for how you want this area to be.
That's right.
Why are you being flexible now? Because somebody has a monetary requirement that maybe they can't meet or hadn't planned on. If it's been in planning for a year, why is it here tonight within a limited time for processing? I don't understand how you can give a honest opinion on changing rules you've already set. This makes this city a rubber city where everything is flexible and you can just change whenever you walk up to the podium. I don't understand. If you have standards, you have standards. If you don't, you don't. So you just change the whole area, go rural, and get rid of any progressive thoughts you've had. That's my opinion. It might be a one man's opinion, but when you sit here and listen to your rhetoric, you're going back on rules, ordinance, planning, zoning you've already submitted and passed on.
That's right.
Sorry.
Anybody else? John?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff. One thing, first when they come up, they didn't give their name and address, and I'd like to know where they're at, because he said he would like to move into this community once that is built and stuff like that. So I don't know if they're from Scottsdale or Norfolk, Virginia right now. We have another one that's on Broadway and San Marcos. They're out of town. If we don't start undergrounding our utilities like our councils, like our ordinance says right now, I know we gave a variance, and we gave some, not a variance, we gave some extra money out of a special fund that comes out of our SRP taxes to help Quick Trip, but that was because it was going to return a lot of money in tax money to us. If we don't start undergrounding our cables, and we do start giving flexibility to everybody, sooner or later, it's going to be upon the city to underground these utilities. That's why they voted this in years ago, so it wouldn't be put upon the citizens or the city to underground these utilities. Widening the road 34 feet, curbs in it, I don't know. I think, again, I think everybody has a right to build a property, but we have to change every ordinance every time we come in with CUPs and this and that. No, some are worth it, some are not. So consider it when you do this, if you're going to put this, because sooner or later, when we start expanding out down south and everything else, the city's going to have to pick up these expenses. Thank you.
This is outside of the redevelopment district. We wanted to underground everything within the that was possible.
I understand that in redevelopment, but I brought it up as a point of thing with the Quick Trip. I know it's in the redevelopment district. We did give them the special funds. We can't do that here, but we're undergrounding cable all over the city, requiring other people in the redevelopment district. You're going to start doing it outside the district sooner or later. Thank you. And the city will pick up that cost.
No, John.
We got our whole planning and zoning commission talking to us now.
Mayor, Council, Louis Babin, 2191 South Bel Air Road, Apache Junction. I thought you said this was an assisted living facility. Is that what this is? It seemed logical to have a sidewalk in front of something like that, and if not, just make sure that there's plenty of access, walkability, and crossability on that intersection for older people. It's just a thought there. Good luck.
Todd?
Todd O'Leary, 2898 South Arizona Road. I'm really appreciative whenever anybody wants to come and invest in our community. However, I have to admit, I think this might have been poor site selection, because I was honestly surprised to learn that a project of this density was to be developed in this area. Our rural heritage has to be protected. It is one of the unique attributes about our community. I welcome anyone who wants to do projects in our community, and we have so much vacant land available in other areas. But it's so important to us to maintain the rural heritage. It is important to the people who live in that area, I believe, to not have sidewalks and gutters, to not have the lights. As we move forward, we really need to keep Apache Junction unique. I don't want to lose opportunities like this, but we also only have one opportunity to maintain our uniqueness. That's all I have.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Harold Grant. I'm from Maricopa, but we have the property immediately north of this project. It's a family project. And I feel that what they are proposing to do here is not only good for the community, but it is good for our area there. I like it. I think it is beneficial. I don't see any reason why the power, with all due respect to whatever the regulations are, why the power should be put underground. I do think the poles moved back is very essential, but that's what I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Blazak?
If I may, I think this individual over here and this man made a lot of sense, Mayor. Rules are rules, and I'm new to the area, so I can't really come here and, dictate or make suggestions, and the other individual behind me says the land means a lot, and Apache Junction, in my opinion, is going to be a boom town someday, and we need the revenue to come in, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
Shannon Flynn, 305 North Acacia. I just wanted to make sure I understood this gentleman, that he really would like to get in some kind of vote tonight, or that he wasn't going to be doing business with us any longer. Well, I hold what Todd says, Todd O'Leary here. Well, I understand what he says. We need this business. I mean, why have we kept these guys in holding for over a year if we've already got our rules and regs? That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Anybody else?
Krista Rizzi, 1755 South Sombrero. We're at a turning point with the development in our town. I think it's absolutely critical that we uphold our rural atmosphere. If we don't do that, we're going to lose our identity. We're going to become another Mesa. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Wayne Standage, 1920 East 20th Avenue. I thought we were going for a rural atmosphere there that would be advantageous for equestrians. Slowly, I'm seeing again commercial residential projects coming in that are going to block horsemen that live just west of this place. It's going to take away their ability to go down a quiet road to get to the open space area where they would like to ride their horses. Eventually, that's going to put us in the same position that's happened to every city in the East Valley, as I've watched through my 56 years living here. You're going to lose it. We're going to become nothing but California wall-to-wall houses or businesses. And we'll lose the rural effect that most people are looking for. This is the last place for horsemen to come to if they want to go do anything, or even for anybody who wants to go outdoors or to want to have low lighting. The more houses you put in or businesses, the more lighting you're going to end up having to a degree. The amount of candle power will still go up for the area. I'd just like to wonder, what are we going to do on it? How are we going to moderate this? I could see this facility going west of Winchester somewhere, because that's already all residential and commercial, almost every bit of it. And I've been studying it at home off of an aerial map of this place, and also have looked at it, and that's where we've really concentrated it. And now we're having a shotgun effect starting to happen again, of people wanting to do businesses out into the area where it's rural zoning that we've been looking for. So I'd just like you to consider that in the future. I don't understand how now we got commercial and residential projects approved for an area that should be rural.
Well, really, this is residential.
Actually,
The property
when
may
it
be,
closes,
but the majority of the area is GR and R143.
I have plenty to say on it when we close the public hearing.
Yes, okay.
I'm done.
All right. I'll close this public hearing. Any more comments, Ari?
Two main issues. When I first heard of this project, I thought, no way, it's not going to happen. This is general rural. This is where our acre, R143, and general rural is. This is the Y area. Problem is, this lot's zoned C1. It's zoned for this type of development. We have no control over zoning, so they can build multi-family housing on C1. It's just a living. Most all of the other property you don't see, well, is that CB1? Okay, CB1.
It's commercial business.
Commercial business, so there'd actually be a business there. So I was kind of shocked that we had this type of zoning. We have to pay more attention to what the zoning actually is. If it was GR, it would never be passed. It would be 1.25 acres. If it was R143, it'd be 1 acre lots. It's not. They currently have the zoning. That's why they get the density. The other issue is, where are we at on our, we're updating our ordinance on electric, are we not? Because we've sent our development services director out to basically dictate areas that it's possible and feasible to underground utilities, such as everything south of the freeway, where there already is underground utilities and there's vacant land for miles to come. Certainly roads, homes, the whole development we expect to be underground. But the problem ever since we created this ordinance is we're only getting this section and the rest of it is all above ground, and it just hasn't, except for Quick Trip.
Not feasible.
It hasn't worked. So we are in the process of changing the ordinance. So this is what kills me about it, is because we need to get that ordinance changed, because then there's the perception from the public that we're giving away something. And where are we at with that ordinance? Do you know? Does anyone know where that ordinance is at?
I thought it was going to be here tonight.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, it will be at the next planning and zoning work session next Tuesday, and we will bring it with all deliberates
Just so the public
through the
knows.
hearing process that is needed.
We've deemed the downtown area, we've deemed everything south of the freeway, all the open land and specific land. These other areas, actually, if they underground 4 or 5 poles, they might have to bring in 2 metal posts that are twice as tall, and instead of 12 volt, I don't know, 48 or whatever. It's the huge post. The ordinance as we created it has has just not worked. So that's why we're revising it.
It's
We
been
need to get
devastating,
that
some of these
revised
commercials.
as soon as possible, because the perception is you're giving it away. You're giving it away. If you don't do it now, you're going to give it away. And we need to get that ordinance done so we don't have developers keep coming up here and us giving the perception that we're giving something away. And that's what it looks like.
Councilmember Barker?
I also wanted to address the rural comments. I agree, this should remain rural, and if that landscape and streetscape is going to retain that rurality, then I would prefer to see it there. But what we're here for is just what do we allow the appeal for undergrounding or not. And we've said this several times in the last 6 months, that there are lots that the undergrounding of their utilities will also mean the undergrounding of utilities sometimes across the street 2 blocks away practically, and that it was not a practical thing to do. But as we got into open area with brand new development, that's when it became practical. Or at least that was my understanding over the last 6 months. So it seems to me that what we need to do here is we need to make a motion on this appeal.
Yes, I just would like the public to know that we are working on that ordinance, so they're aware that the ordinance is going to be revised, and it's not going to be something that has the perception that we're giving the developer something every time they come to us, because they're building in the middle infill property.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Some of the people in the audience tonight have spoke about, we have standards, why are we always going against our standards? I'd just like to explain that when you set a standard, things change, times change, circumstances change, and this is one of those cases where the standard was that everything is going to be undergrounded from now on, and it just doesn't work. So it's being revised and it has to change. It's not that we are lowering our standards or accepting anything. We're making a revision and we're refining something to make it better. I'd like to present a motion.
Before you do, I'd like to say one thing, sir.
Yes, sir.
What Vice Mayor X said, this is not general rural. It already was zoned for what it's going to be. So we're not changing anything there.
The gentleman has his building permit.
He has his building permit. It's already been, so, all the talk has been for naught. So I'll go ahead and ask for a motion.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I move that case PZ-1-08, an appeal of the landscaping and screening requirements for the undergrounding of utilities for parcel located at the northwest corner of Broadway Avenue and Tomahawk Avenue, submitted by James Jensen and Beehive Homes, be approved.
Second.
Second. Roll call.
Councilmember Barker?
Yes.
Councilmember Deeds?
Yes.
Councilmember Severs?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eck?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson?
Yes.
Councilmember Surtee?
Yes.
Mayor Insula?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Proposed ordinance number 1317, establishing traffic control at 16th Avenue and Winchester Road. Good luck, gentlemen.
We gotta change that ordinance, man.
Good night.
Thank you, Yaneth.
Thank you, Yaneth.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Yao Pham, city engineer. Real quickly, several weeks ago, David Fern, our public works director, did a presentation regarding some of the issues regarding this particular intersection. Again, staff is recommending that we go ahead and put additional stop signs for eastbound and westbound for 16th Avenue. And there were some comments later on or earlier on this evening regarding the additional overflow of church traffic. What we'll do is we will, once the ordinance passed, we will take a look at that and talk to church staff and communicate to them if we could be of further assistance.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I'd like to ask a question. When this is done, is there going to be any kind of a warning, because there's going to be people not remembering and flying right through there? Is there going to be any warning sign or any signs further back so people will know that?
What we'll do is we'll take a look at the entire intersection too. We will take a look at the MUTC, which is the Manual for Uniform Traffic Control Device, take a look at the pre-warning. Before, usually, we'll put pre-warning signs.
That's what I'm saying.
That a new sort of a traffic control is in place, and then we'll get that.
Okay.
Great.
Anything else?
Nope.
This is a public hearing. Does anyone like to speak on that?
Yeah, you said that you're going to work with the church once the four-ways in
Yes.
to see what their outlet flow is.
That's correct.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. Anyone like to speak on this item? If not, I'll close it. Any more discussion?
Yeah.
It's,
I'd like to make a motion. Oh,
seems to me if the church would give up enough of their parking lot to make a lane going south, it would really alleviate the problems, because all the people that want to go right wouldn't have to wait. It would really save time, because you've only got, where the people come out of the church, you've only got like 50 yards. Just, there again, that's a work session type question.
Yeah.
It can't be really discussed tonight.
That's,
Well, Your Honor,
yes.
there used to be, I don't know if the church hired PD or what, but there used to be PD after service. I know at least a couple of the services.
I believe they used to hire off-duty police officers.
Yeah, and they would get that flow going, you know, so I don't know if that's an
Well,
option.
staff is going to be working on that. Mr. Deeds?
I move that ordinance number 1317 be read by title only, and the reading of the entire ordinance be waived.
Second.
Moved and second. Roll call.
Vice Mayor Eck?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson?
Yes.
Councilmember Surtee?
Yes.
Councilmember Barker?
Yes.
Councilmember Severs?
Yes.
Councilmember Deeds?
Yes.
Mayor Insulaco?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor. Ordinance number 1317, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Apache Junction, Arizona, establishing traffic control at 16th Avenue and Winchester Road with the use of four-way stop sign intersection in the city of Apache Junction, Arizona, repealing any conflicting provisions and providing for severability.
Your Honor.
Now the main motion, yes.
I move that ordinance number 1317 as read by the city clerk be approved and adopted.
Second.
Moved and second. Roll call.
Councilmember Wilson?
Yes.
Councilmember Surtee?
Yes.
Councilmember Barker?
Yes.
Councilmember Deeds?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eck?
Yes.
Councilmember Severs?
Yes.
Mayor Insulaco?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Selection of budget work sessions with city departments between May 5th, 2008 and May 16, 2008.
Got to be George.
No, it's
No,
Keith.
Keith.
It's Keith.
Keith, my man.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you know, in the years past, we have always had a work session on the budget with the council and the departments. This is the time that we have asked to have this meeting with the departments. It's up to you how many meetings you want to have, and it can be beyond that period. We're just trying to stay within a time frame so we can be ready to tentatively adopt a budget at your first meeting in June the 3rd, and then adopt the budget on June 17th.
So we need to schedule two.
I was very aggressive this year.
Yes, you are.
Guess why?
Your Honor?
Yes.
It seems like the best thing I think that we should do is maybe schedule it for May 12th and 13th. That's a Monday and Tuesday in our off week. And if we don't need the Tuesday, then so be it.
Yeah.
Right.
Can we do that, Kathy?
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
conflict on Monday.
You do?
He's got a conflict on Monday. Can it be done on Tuesday?
Up to you.
I was just trying to get that second day in there.
Can we do it maybe at 6 o'clock instead of 7 on Tuesday, and do 2 to 3 hours if we need it?
Yeah, that might work.
Do it in one night.
That'd work for me.
If we can get it in one night.
Whatever is the council's decision.
Well, I say that's good. We'll try that one night, and then we have time. If we have to finish up, we'll certainly.
Well, it's got to be done before 16th, though, right?
And we might have to
Yeah.
come
No.
back the following week.
Tuesday the 12th?
It's just a suggestion.
Just a suggestion by the 16th.
Oh, okay. Well,
That
then let's
doesn't
just
have to be
schedule
done.
Tuesday the 13th,
Okay.
Would you-
and at 6 o'clock. Does that work with everybody?
I'll second it.
Should.
If everyone does their homework, it usually goes pretty good.
Okay, we'll make a
We
motion
had a
on that.
motion and a second.
Huh?
You made a motion, somebody seconded
And you
it.
second it? Okay, roll call.
Okay, I have one question. Do you expect to finish everything that night?
Well, if we don't, we can reschedule for.
Can we
the
put
following
a
week.
thing on the agenda for selection of meeting dates if needed?
Okay, so
For that meeting, so if
okay.
we need another one, we can go ahead and vote that in that night.
We could schedule a meeting before our following meeting if we need to finalize something. And just go ahead and put it in right now, and it's there in case. That's the 12th or the 13th? And when is our next meeting?
The following week.
The following week.
Which would be the 20th.
We have a meeting on the
We can, like Councilmember Deeds said, we can put it on that night if we want to
On the
continue
agenda.
it for the following week.
Yeah,
Yeah, to
I
continue.
think it'd be better
So we
to,
need
I think we need 2
better to
weeks.
do it that night.
post it again.
It's
yes.
better to do it that night. Wouldn't it be?
It would be better because we do need to post it
That's right.
in any subsequent meetings. yeah.
All right,
All right.
okay.
You got it, Rick?
You already did it? With
We
the
already
second?
did it. I need a roll call.
Must have missed the motion.
We didn't do the
Okay.
waiting.
I move that the following dates, times, and locations be approved for budget work session with city departments for Tuesday, May 13th at 6 PM in the city council chambers.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Surtee?
Yes.
Councilmember Severs?
Yes.
Councilmember Deeds?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson?
Yes.
Councilmember Barker?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eck?
Yes.
Mayor Instalato?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I move that an executive session at 6 PM and a work session at 7 PM be held on Monday, April 14th, 2008, in the City Council Conference Room in the City Council Chambers respectively. And then an executive session at 6 PM be held on Tuesday, April 15th, ooh, bad day,
Bad day.
2008, in the City Council Conference Room.
Second.
Moved and second, roll call.
Councilmember Severs?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eck?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson?
Yes.
Councilmember Deeds?
Yes.
Councilmember Surtee?
Yes.
Councilmember Barker?
Yes.
Mayor Instalato?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
We're adjourned. I gotta go.